Welcome to Knife Thoughts. This video is going to be on this knife, and this is the hot brass jack. And so this is the newest design from Traditional Pocket Knives, and I want to say a big thank you to Austin for sending this knife along. It's one that I was really interested in. I'm always interested in checking out Austin's designs, but this one especially because of a couple things. First of all, I got the buffalo horn version. So this is in buffalo horn, the covers are buffalo horn, and it's something that you just really don't see that often anymore. The other reason I was interested is because it is a very kind of different take on the Gunstock jack. And so I always like to see kind of different takes on classic patterns. And so first of all, I want to talk about the buffalo horn. So buffalo horn is a very traditional cover material or handle material for pocket knives, for traditional slip joints. It's just something that you don't see very much anymore though. So Gradation Cutlery has supposedly decided to not use it ever again. With GEC, you never know. Usually any kind of anything they proclaim, like no more SFOs and things like that, you never know. They might go back on it, but they haven't used it in a long time. I don't know of Case using it much, and it's just something you really don't see very often. But it is something that a lot of vintage knives, older knives had. And so I really, was interested in that because I don't have, I think, any buffalo horn or horn in general knives in my collection right now. So I was happy to get to check that out. And also, I think that it fits the knife very well. And the reason for that is because when I think of, Old West kind of gunstock, so this is probably a little older than the Old West, but it connects to a powder horn. So there's actually also a powder horn pattern, but to me, my thoughts went to a powder horn, and they're, horns, they were made of horn. And so the buffalo horn on this kind of just connected to that in my mind. Maybe that's a stretch, I don't know, but I thought it was cool. And then secondly, like I say, I think that this is a gunstock, but it's very different looking from a lot of other gunstocks. So speaking of Gradation Cutlery, here is their number 44, and I have one right here. I should, so why not show it to you? Here is their number 22, which is the smaller version, and you can see these two are really similar. And then here is the Jack Wolf Knives Gunstock. This is the sharpshooter, and so you can see it is very similar to the GEC. So I really think that this is intended as a gunstock jack, but it is different, right? It looks to me more like some of the older Queen gunstocks, where they have a little bit less hard of that line. But I've watched Austin's shop talk video on this, which, by the way, make sure you subscribe to Traditional Pocket Knives. He does shop talk videos that are always good updates on what he has coming and things like that. But I watched his video that included these, and I don't know that he specifically mentioned that it was a gunstock jack. So even that might be a little bit of a reach that I'm making. But either way, it's an interesting knife in its shape, and so I'm sure people will be saying, oh, you're almost 4 minutes in and haven't even opened it, but here it is. So first of all, I've been carrying this since I got it and have been really enjoying it. So you can see it has a really classic clip point blade. You've got some straight edge here and then a nice belly. It's a relatively kind of stout, thick blade. You can see it's got relatively thick blade stock, and it probably doesn't come to the thinnest edge there. So as compared to maybe a Jack Wolf knife, that these are often ground really thinly for good slicing. This will be probably a little bit more durable if you need to do any kind of twisting and things like that, but it also has a shorter grind, a less tall grind. So it's not going to be the world's greatest slicer, but it's worked well for everything I've used it for, and it's just a good looking blade shape. I mean, I think it's a really well designed clip point. As for the long pole, I basically have never used it, but you can. It certainly is well done. So I hate to kind of talk negatively here, but this is a good example. I hope that Michael of American Blade Works updates this some, but this long pull is an example of a not very well done long pull. It just doesn't have the shoulder to be able to catch your nail very effectively as compared to this. And I only show that to be a comparison to show that this one is more effective. It's much easier to catch your nail on that. But I've basically always used the easy open. So you can see you've got that easy open. I think it's a great feature. You know, it makes it easy to open, easy to pinch it open. And I do like to be able to pinch open knives, especially if it's something that I'm going to be using. So it opens easily. It does have a relatively, one more thing on the blade. This jimping is functional. This is not just for looks. It is, it has some bite to it. So you'll be able to, you know, hold on to that. It has strong action. I would call it probably like a 7, something like that. Maybe, yeah, 7, nice and strong. It's not difficult to open for me from, you know, because of the pinching, but it is relatively strong, and it does have a stop pin in there, so you don't have to worry about blade wrap. Then as for the handle, like I say, it's different, but I do think that it looks like a Gunstock, but it's actually really ergonomic for me. So you can see my ring finger fits into the easy open, and then I can get a full 4-finger grip on this actually. So, you know, I like that. And it's just a really good looking knife, kind of an interesting looking knife. And another nice thing is that this has 154 cm, so a good steel, not like an ultra high-end steel, but a good steel. And it has integral bolsters. This is steel instead of titanium, but all of that for less than $105 if you use my discount code. So make sure you do use the code KT10. That will work on this knife, and bring it down from, I think, $111 or something like that to like $103. So, you know, it's not at the same price range as something like this or even a GEC. You know, you can get it for a good bit less than those. So I think it's a really cool knife. Another, you know, great. Well, I thought that my filming setup was fixed here, but I guess I'm just gonna have to get another one, and I'm just gonna finish it. So another great design from Austin of Traditional Pocket Knives. Always happy to see him come out with a new knife, and so thank you to him for allowing me to check this out. And if you would like to pick one of these up, make sure you use my code again, KT10. Let me know what you think about this knife. The buffalo horn, there's also an abalone version and a jigged steel version, so some cool other versions. And last but not least, as always, don't forget to go out and do good.